Hi everyone, welcome to Building Blocks in ETHTLV. We love it here. I'm Eliana Drescher. I'm the head of community at Choose in Tech, a decentralized global nonprofit of about 6,000 people who help each other find jobs, raise money, etc. I'm going to do a little icebreaker here with all of my wonderful panelists today. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is if I was a magical crypto genie and I had the ability to grant you anything you wanted in exchange for your entire NFT and token collection, what would you wish for?
What do you mean?
If you could have anything in the world.
Anything in the world?
Yeah, in exchange for your entire NFT and token collection, you'd have to give that to me.
Cool. I like time travel.
Time travel.
Shall we introduce ourselves, or shall we start with a?
Please introduce yourself.
Okay,
Wait,
so maybe you go back.
Hi. Sorry, my name is Echo or Alexa, and I like time travel and NFTs and community building.
But you have to give up your NFTs.
That's okay because I'll get them back with the whole time travel thing.
Hi, my name is Isabella. I'm a community strategist, and I think, to be fair, I only hold very few NFTs and governance tokens. So I would say, I'm fine with a house by the ocean.
Hey everyone, I'm Rez. I'm the founder of ETHTLV. And I think what inspired Eliana with this question is my recent tweet where I told everyone that I would probably trade all my NFTs and cryptocurrencies for a family life, but with excitement. So an exceptionally funny wife and bad kids. So.
That's a really good answer. Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm the co-founder of Kitchen, a Web3 native agency, and a community builder. And I would trade all my kind of worthless NFTs and tokens for the ability to teleport anywhere.
Ooh.
Okay, amazing. So thank you all for granting me all of your NFTs. I'll come collect your addresses at the end of today. And I'll do what I can about time travel. Wife and kids, we might have somebody, a nice Jewish girl in Tel Aviv for you. We'll figure that out. Teleportation, I don't think we're there yet, but AR, VR is coming close. Okay, so we are at the end of a crazy bull market and kind of, in this bear period where we've experienced quite a different sentiment among our communities, among projects, around the entire ecosystem. And I'd love to hear from all of you. What are some big takeaways that you feel we can crystallize and take away from community building during this bull market and bring to the next one? Echo, any ideas?
Sure, yeah. It was very exciting, I think, for many of us getting in. I know I got in during the last bull run, and our community went from 0 to 100 quite quickly, and there weren't any best practices in place, and a lot of people kind of got hurt in the process, I would say. Of course, many of the biggest hacks came from bad code or bad actors, but we saw on the community front a lot of phishing scams, a lot of staff impersonation. So kind of what I want to see more is a focus on community security, as well as developing more best practices around accessibility and diversity. And now we're all building, right? And even if there are maybe some people in this room, or especially people who are not in this room, who don't really consider community building to be a worthwhile topic to develop or think about in-house, there's always developer communities. And what are they developing? Probably things for a retail or front of house audience. So however the community managers are managing their developer communities is going to directly affect the things that they're building. So I really want to make sure that we're using this time to make sure that our communities are secure and accessible overall.
That's great. What I can definitely say is this bear market brought a lot of, let's say, kind of a general community purge. So the people who stayed in the space were actually people the builders and so on. But what I would love to see all seasons long is like have this building mindset, not only in the bear market, but also like in the bull market. I might have like a hot take here, like just like starting off with the hot takes that sometimes you shouldn't build your community first. Build your product first, honey, because, you know, like the people will get motivated to get together, but if your product, it's not even, you know, like the basic to start off, those people wouldn't stick with. So I think that was great. Like I said, like this bear market brought a lot of like development when it comes about like product and project like itself, the way like they built and they developed. But I think sometimes focus on the product and then later on start building a community. Sometimes people like tend to say, oh no, like let's bring people first. Might not be the case.
I completely agree with Isabel that like every community has to have like clear value proposition, just as like any products. And I think the main takeaway here is that like building a community is not an accessory. It's not something that you just like put besides the company and then you will magically have like better engagement and like retention and word of mouth and stuff like that. Community is very important once you have something to offer. And if you really know like what the community has to offer, then you can like build out the foundations. And you usually have to go small. Like you have to start in a very small circle, maybe with best friends, and then grow from there, obviously.
Yeah, I totally agree with what was just said. When it comes to, also one thing to add is very important to distinguish between community and marketing. Community and marketing and product are all products within themselves, and when companies are getting into Web3, they should know the difference, and they should invest in all three for separate reasons. First comes product. Marketing and community, I think, go hand in hand, but you should not hire one person to do community and marketing at the same time. Marketing is like, you know, social media and email marketing and like the way that you like present yourself to the world. Community is about like your core group of people that are supporting your product and are testing it and giving you feedback. And like helping you build those relationships. Your community is super important. Like if without your community, you're not gonna have those like business development relationships, the people that are gonna introduce you to like other protocols or other, you know, other companies or projects building that are gonna help you grow. But marketing is like that kind of like brand outer facing layer, and community is like your core people.
So I would just go one step further and I would say like don't hire anyone for community building in the very beginning of your company. I think that should be done by the founders.
I completely agree here. I think a lot of the founder's job is to bootstrap community. I think somebody else who can focus community is really important at like stage 1.5, but I completely agree with a lot of the things that you guys said here. Also, like, feel free to like gesture to me to grab the mic at any point. We don't have to just like always go on a line. I know that's like a little bit awkward and sometimes what happens on panels, but we're really informal here at Israel. I'd go another step further, and I think marketing points at two things. One is user acquisition, the other is brand, and yeah, community is a little bit more organic. Raz, I think you said something really interesting about building product and then community, and sort of how you got started at Guild. I'd love to hear a little bit more about Guild and about your journey over the past year, and how you got here. Would you like to speak a little bit more about that for everyone?
Cool, sure. So I also have a background in investing. So I was initially an investor in this space, and I was a community person. Like I joined in 2013 into the crypto community space. And then after the last bull market, especially after the DeFi summer, I felt like I'm not satisfied with like investing in NFTs and like those protocols anymore, and especially not meme coins and stuff like that. So I wanted to refocus on what really matters to me, and that was the DAO space. And we started building out just very simple tools for DAOs initially. And meanwhile, we also like started communicating this in like a very intimate fashion. So like we immediately started building a very small community of other founders and like some influencers and like people who are involved with DAOs. And we started doing that in a small private Telegram channel. So that was a core element of like starting out Guild. But I also managed our Twitter account, and I'm still managing our Twitter account at this day. And the way we did that is that like when we first launched on Twitter, we didn't say who we are or like where are we coming from. We didn't say anything about ourselves. We only communicated the product and like screenshots and recordings of the product and stuff like that. And then whenever someone got interested, I immediately jumped on that and like messaged them and invited, if they looked interested, I invited them to our private community. And that was the engine in the very beginning.
And I just want to make sure and just, you know, in case people didn't, you know, Google you and stalk you the way I did before you came on this panel, could you tell us a little bit more about what Guild is and what the product is and what the community experience is like?
So maybe the one-liner is Guild like the Zapier for community building or like the community infrastructure. And it started out as just a simple way to get people together who are like bearded CryptoPunks, but also went to ETHCC. So like they can form like small groups on Telegram or Discord or anywhere else. But then we quickly realized that this could be way more than that. And we came up with the Guild model, which is the requirements, roles, and rewards. It's a beautiful model, and like everything that we do fits into this model. And last year we integrated like 30 different requirement types. This year we're gonna integrate like 30 different like reward types. And all of these requirements and rewards can be combined in various ways. So you can build up all sorts of different things. Like there are plenty of use cases. There's a lot to explore with Guild. Most of the use cases come out as we absorb from the community builders what they want to use Guild for. But initially it was more for like membership tiers, membership structures, but now it's also being used for rewarding, for loyalty programs and similar things.
I just want to ask a quick question. Like, how many people here are part of a DAO? Okay, yeah. All right, just trying to... How many? More than one DAO? More than 5? How do you do it? Like, this is something else maybe we can talk about is like community management of like, I don't know about you, but like burnout is real. Yeah. Like, and this is something that Guild, I mean, you manage tools to make being part of a community an easier, better experience, right? Like, and this is maybe like, I don't want to take over the moderator, but this is something that I wanted to talk about is like the experience of being part of a community. You have so many communication channels. You have so many, like, you can do so many projects that you could literally be online 24 hours a day, like working. So to your point, like, I want a family life too. So I don't know, like if we can talk about like, or maybe you guys have something to say about, you know, what it's like being part of a community, or questions about how to enhance, like, work smarter, not harder, in a community. Because I'm always taking recommendations.
I could definitely start like from someone that unfortunately had 2 burnouts in their life. I can definitely say, and like one of the things that I totally look at when starting a community or like when I start like a new project, it's first documentation, because I don't want to be online 24/7. And I know that's challenging, especially for product communities, because your product is always like evolving and like to keep this like up to date. So I really delegate like to my team, and even like, you know, like for the most active community members, it's like, okay, like how can you help on this? And like not only documentation, but also automatizing like certain flows, like even like some like community support-ish thing. So I have to say, originally I came like from a background on the AI translation industry. So also to add up like all like this effort on making like communities global, I also have to take into account that like we are here in a very, very small bubble that the 6% of people all over the world that speaks English. And also, if you want to bring diversity to your community, if you want to have like your product, not only, like for this little world that we are in, we also need to make some efforts when it comes to translation and localization. It's challenging, it is. The good thing is like you also have a community that can help you on that. But pinging back to your question, Jessica, I would totally make sure that like try to automatize as many things as I can, and Guild has like an amazing work on doing that. And I mean, it's every now and then kind of like protect your own energy. It's like, it's totally okay that like if you're like not online, if you're like being like very vocal with your members, like, hey, if you post something on like Friday night, I might only see like on and Friday's weekend here. Like, I'm very confused like how weekends work here. But I still like being very transparent with your community members, and also like how you can bring them in like to moderate and so on.
Amazing. Yeah, I think Echo also touched on like some great points about bringing diversity and inclusion practices into community building. Would love to kind of hear about more like best practices for doing that. How do we create a space where more people feel included?
Wow, that's a great question. I know that you're kind of an expert in this, actually. I remember when I was first starting with NFTs, we tried different Discord channels. We closed those channels. People weren't using them. Let me give it to Jess too, because she's also an expert.
I'm just going to share this because Bertrand is here, and we work together at Good Dollar, which is the Universal Basic Income Protocol, which is now how many? 500,000? Yeah. We have about 500,000 people are claiming free crypto, or have claimed free crypto from their phone. eToro, the social trading investment platform. So it's basically a way for people to get access to digital assets with just a cell phone. And when we launched it, we saw it kind of followed like the. Yeah, I mean, there is when we first launched it, Argentina like popped off on the map because this was 2020 and it was like the start of the pandemic, and then it followed, Vietnam, India, and so we had to follow, like, talking about marketing, we had to follow like, well, now do we do marketing in like Pakistani? Like, how, like, I don't speak that, like, I don't know how to so we had to like very quickly pivot. How do we explain what is crypto, do like educational marketing, promotional materials, well, not promotional because it's crypto, you can't promote crypto, in all these different languages, and engage your community, and have like an FAQ, and have these Telegram channels, and have these Discord channels, and then, oh great, they launched Clubhouse and Twitter, so we're like, oh, more marketing channels for us to manage. And that's when we turned to the community and we're like, okay, ambassadors. We're like, ambassadors, you know what you, like, in your language, in your, like, region, city, what works best. Like, I am not to say what someone in Nigeria wants, like, how is going to understand crypto, like, or in Pidgin, which is like a Creole language. So really, like, localization is key. You spoke to this. And I think that's also speaks to like the beauty of community and DAOs. Like, it's, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you kind of brought up something about like a pay-to-play model, kind of where.
Here you go.
Okay, yeah. So you kind of brought up something about the pay-to-play model, which is something I was kind of wondering about, which is some people kind of try to grow a community by like, hey, do some stuff and we'll pay you for it. So you had like Axie Infinity, you had Step In, where you get a lot of traction, and then the money dries up, and then people kind of disappear. So if you want to like sort of like, do you think it can work? And like, if you were to sort of build a community whereby you pay people initially, how do you make it sustainable?
Uh,
Yeah, but
yeah.
The-
This is the developer that did it all. So.
Yeah, I started, as a developer, but thanks to Jessica, also was the first Good Dollar ambassador. And then I'm more interested now in community development than in, I would say, solidity development. So I try also to bring more ecosystem or to try to decentralize an ecosystem. So to reply, I was thinking if you, like in the refi, you can make people aware that there is different type of capital and that there is not only financial capital, but there is also social capital, one of the type. And I feel like here it's more, we are talking more, if we want to make it a capital world coming inside, which I'm not really fan of it, but we can capitalize on the social part as we do already on the financial part. And then instead of providing just financial incentive, even if I don't like the incentive word also, but I think it's more about providing or showing that you have social incentive. It's like volunteering at an event, or like volunteering to do some task, or even proposing yourself the task that you would like to do, and you don't feel yet comfortable to do it if you have not some mentoring or some confirmation that it would be useful to others. And then it's more about like the do-it-yourself movement. If you want to do something, just propose it or just do it, and then say it's a retrospective or it's retroactive, and I've done that. Would you want to use it? And I feel that's very useful in some no-code platform, like having more and more no-code. It's more about knowledge, or about I feel sharing knowledge. So showing that tools exist, and if people know that they exist, they will use it. But most of the time, when I explain the tools to people, they don't know about them. So it's more about mentoring, or about finding the good way to show to people.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you. Social capital is just becoming so much more important in a world where we live with financial abundance. And so we're able to create incentives around social capital. We only have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to make sure we got to any questions that anyone else in the audience had. We have 5 minutes left, yeah? 10? Just kidding. We'll get to questions in a second. Okay. Yeah, we can take questions. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
She can ask and then you can repeat.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, ask a question, I'll repeat. Yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you guys make marketing and community builders friends? Because previously you mentioned that one person can't manage both things. I'm that future schizophrenic who's doing both now.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, like, how do you build it? How does their relationship look like?
Yeah.
How do they split it? Because for marketing, it's kind of it's more about like taking, so it's kind of selling.
Yeah.
For a community builder, it's like giving. So how do you build it?
So, what's your name?
Diana.
Diana just asked, like, how do we better marry marketing and community building when they're sort of like two diverse functions in terms of like the giving and the taking? I think Jess would probably be a great person to answer this, but does anyone else have any?
I speak a lot in analogies, and I think like whenever like you're building something and to see what like makes sense to put some effort more like in the marketing or in community, think about organizing a house party. So people will come. I mean, like you create like invites to like your house like might be like very pretty. This is marketing. But what will make people stay, it's what's inside your place. It's the music, it's the vibe, it's the food. And so sometimes it might make sense, like not invest much in marketing, but then with like that small group of like 10 people that will come to your party, they'll say, yeah, this is the vibe. And they might, as a community, might bring like more members, or like the opposite. Sometimes you just like want to have your house full and they will stay like for half an hour. I mean, like I'm biased, like so I work in community, but think about that like whenever you are like balancing your efforts.
Yeah, could I also say something quickly? So I think there's a lot of quite developed crypto and NFT companies here today. But I think even more so, there's a lot of startups, right? And they're lucky to have someone on at all doing marketing or community. And every project I've worked on, I've been both. So I'm fine being friends with myself in that regard. And eventually we build that out and we have someone do marketing and products. And now we're working together. How are we bridging product marketing and community and marketing? For me, I look at it like content marketing as well. Like when we're doing Twitter spaces, when we're creating a comic together or writing together, we're also trying to infuse community values, and hopefully people are there for a reason because they like our crypto or they like our product or our protocol, whatever it may be. But I truly think that they can be friends in this regard, and then it's really important as your company grows to then build out and differentiate and delegate. And of course, when you like make it to the moon and all the ambassadors and volunteers come on, it's a whole other thing. But in the beginning, yeah, you have to like make it work.
I think, yeah, it depends on what kind of marketing you're looking to do. And in the very beginning, if the tone matches the tone inside your community, maybe the same person can do that. But like later on, when you incorporate like best practices in marketing, then you probably need like different teams. I think just looping back to Bertrand, like a key thing in like community building for the community manager, for the members of the community is personalization. So like as we mentioned, like there are many communities now, and especially with the branded communities, I consider branded communities as part of marketing. By the way, when brands or like when companies are creating communities, I think that's part of marketing, and because of that, we have a lot of like non-genuine community builders who are like building it for like marketing purposes, and that just makes the entire like community experience like overloaded. Like there are all sorts of different communities, and it's very different, like very difficult to differentiate between like communities that you care about or you don't. So that's why you have to like personalize the community experience so the members only see like relevant information. And from the other side, that means for the community manager to also like segment these communities. So like curation is definitely like a key in community building.
I think that's the key word, and this is going to become so much more important in 2023 and beyond, is curation. Like we've seen creation up until now, but it's curation. Like this event is a curation, right? And best practices, I think, in community and marketing is get your infrastructure, like just nail it. Like get your like processes for email marketing, for social media marketing, just like the basics. Do it consistently so that you know you're out there, you get the followers, even though no one really cares about followers. Let's be real. Like no one actually cares about the number of followers you have, so like no pressure. And as you grow and grow, like as you were saying, delegate. Like there are so many talented people in the world that would love to do social media or be like do marketing for your project. Like, and this is what is so exciting about Web3 is that like they can, and you can onboard them. And so this is where community becomes so important, is like growing that experience and that like private group, that network that like you really trust. And so this is the part where I say community is all about how to become friends with strangers on the internet. That really is what it is. And it is so fun, can be totally terrifying sometimes. But the key to doing it is keeping them really, really well informed. So like another tip is like, you know, just like you said, like document everything, like weekly email newsletters, like just making sure everyone knows what's going on at all times. So yeah, I think that's my advice. Question?
Yeah, I was thinking about something that you said about like so many communities not having a product and not having like a business model. They have this NFT launch with a lot of hype, and they onboard like thousands of members, and then after the hype is gone, the community disappears. And he has mentioned another thing, like you bring in like contributors and members, and you pay them, and when you know the money is running off. Can you say this? Okay, the money's running off. People disappear. So, are we actually building community there? Like, if people are there just because of the hype, or because you are paying them, are we actually building a community there? So what makes members actually stay? Where, I mean, maybe we're failing at building like an incentive system, like really knowing what our community really needs, and building an incentive system that aligns with what they want. And another thing is that, or at least from my experience, is that if you make people feel, or the members feel that they are, you know, an important part of building.
Okay.
What you are building. You know,
So
you
the
overcome the lack of payment and the, you know, and the hype.
Right. So the question is, what's the difference between authentic communities and communities that have been drawn together by marketing or hype? Okay. So yeah. So okay. We're closing. Yeah, we're closing out the panel. But yeah, I think a lot of us have had experience building super authentic communities that are not necessarily incentivized by financial payment or marketing. So feel free to come up to any of us after. We'd be happy to chat about that. Also happy to chat about like examples of amazing personalization in communities, which I'd love to continue talking about for the last 5 minutes of this panel. If anyone has great examples of personalization and curation in community.
When starting like an ambassador program or like trying to get contributors, don't start with paid incentives. Like, attract people that are willing to do it for free.
I think even after don't pay community contributors, that's not a good way to do that. Even like assigning a role to a community contributor means so much to them usually. There are definitely better rewards than like financial rewards. But like looping back, like you need some like clear value proposition for the community. And like for us in the very beginning, it was the network, like because I created a very high signal group of people, like all founders and like influencers from bigger companies. They wanted to participate in our community, in our private community, because they saw that like many other founders are there, and they wanted to extend their network. So like that's one like clear value proposition. I created like a power circle.
What other rewards would you give to ambassadors?
So like reputation, just assigning a role publicly in the Discord server, for example, works really like surprisingly well. So that's one, but like obviously like you can create like personalized experiences in your product for those like chosen people, and there are many other ways to do that too. Like that's why we are building out those like 30 different rewards this year. Many of them will be useful.
Can I just add one quick thing? I think what differs the most between marketing and community, marketing is an interaction one-to-many, while community is an interaction many-to-many. So it's totally fine if you're like, as a community builder, you're creating your space to members to talk. And every now and then they might not talk about your project. So for example, like I met Kimi in a crypto community, and we were like, she was sharing Tel Aviv tips. And this is fine. And this is like the reason I'm going to stay in the community and stay on the loop. So making sure, and this is difficult, it's hard to nail, but like try to make your community members talk with them themselves. You don't have to be there all the time. I mean, maybe like only watching and moderating, but yeah.
Okay. That was an amazing closing point. I absolutely love that. The mark of a really healthy, authentic community is your members will reach out to each other and help each other without, you know, some sort of like centralized community or mod incentivizing them. So I think that was like best closing point we could have had. If you are looking, you know, for any other tips, I mean, all of our panelists are incredible community builders. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming, and happy to chat after if anyone needs anything. Yeah, welcome to Tel Aviv. Guys, sit tight for a second. We are going to take a selfie as a panel, and or maybe a selfie as a room. Does everyone want to take a selfie as a room? Yeah. Who? I feel like Raz has really long arms, but.
And make sure to stay for the community growth panel.
Yeah, stay for the panel after, which is going to be super fun.
Wait, so this isn't the community growth panel?
It's marketing and growth, I think.
This was more about
building.